So we each have a personal question for you, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I've worked to remove the words "I'm sorry" out of my vocabulary and replace them with "thank you" for a couple of years now. But despite my efforts, I find myself constantly saying "I'm sorry." And all of my partners and many of my friends have pointed this out. Like they keep telling me, "Stop saying sorry." But I don't know, it must be coming from somewhere. So can you help me figure out where this need or desire to apologize is coming from?
Yeah, I think that there is a place for apology. I believe that there is a place for apologies. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. But sometimes we say I'm sorry when somebody's expressing themselves and blaming us for how they're feeling, which might not actually be our responsibility. So sometimes the I'm sorry is I'm taking on what isn't mine, or I'm sorry that you are feeling that way, rather than honoring, hey, I'm hearing you. When somebody's in rage, when somebody's in blame, when somebody's in anger, when somebody's in sadness, we want to come forward with just the witnesser that isn't sad or projecting what somebody else is feeling is wrong or bad, or taking it on as our own. Sometimes when we're not having clear boundaries, then we're saying I'm sorry because it's like, oh, I'm feeling it and now I feel sad for you, or I'm feeling the heaviness. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. And what we want to do is delineate that and move into more the witness that says, I'm honoring how you're feeling, and I hear your frustration, or I'm acknowledging, or I honor that you're sad about this right now. I don't have to take it on. I don't have to own it. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to actually feel it for me to show up and be present for somebody else's process. And a lot of times when somebody else is having a problem or a frustration, we take it on as our own. And so I think that some clearer boundaries there are important to say, I may not be sorry for something that I didn't create. I may not be sorry for the fact that you're blaming me for, what's going on. And so I think that each situation is going to be a little bit different. If a boss is angry at you, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, I say, okay, I hear that you're frustrated. I hear that you're upset. Let's come to an understanding of how we can work together.
That all makes sense. But I think just to maybe give you a better idea of how I do it, it's like, if someone is unloading my car for me, I'm like, I'm so sorry that there's so much stuff. If I'm like crowding someone a little bit, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm apologizing for even taking up space. A more embarrassing example is the other day when my boyfriend was going down on me, I like got all over his face and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, why am I apologizing in a scenario like that? So it's like, even in intimate moments, or even when someone like just genuinely wants to help me unload a car, I'm still apologizing just for the fact that I'm being almost.
It's okay for you to take up space, honey.
Yeah, I believe that, but it's still.
That is really stepping into like honoring your feelings, your space, your stuff. Like, you don't have to apologize for that. If there's something that it's bringing up that needs your attention, that it's out of balance, sometimes we'll go to, I'm sorry, because actually something's out of balance and we're not looking at it. Something's not, I'm not honoring something that is out of balance. And so that might be the place to look at. Another piece is, like when I was saying earlier about apologies, I think that acknowledging where there has been something that has negatively affected somebody else, that I believe, and the place for apology has its place to take ownership for the part of a relationship that is, you're a part of the relationship that is out of balance. I got angry. I closed you out. I was impatient. I blamed you for my stuff. So I think in that space, it's appropriate to apologize and be accountable. Adults are accountable for their stuff. But this is what you're talking about, is really a self-worth issue that can just say, hey, thank you for pleasuring me. Thank you. And each person has that's wanting to come forward for you and help you with a car or help you with your pleasure or whatever it is. This is how they're loving you. And so moving into the thank you, is like, yeah, thank you for seeing me, for being with me, for being with my messiness and my stuff. Thank you. Like, wow, that makes me feel even more valued and even more worthy that, you'll put up with that all over your face, or you'll help me with my stuff. And that's a gesture of love.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
replacing that "I'm sorry" with "thank you" sounds like a powerful
Yeah.
little
I mean,
switch.
I'm
In the
trying.
right places. In the right places.
Yeah. I notice even like when I leave a play date, I'll like think of every reason to text them to apologize about anything. So I think I need to sit with it a while and figure out.
Each experience. And so what I would go back to is the first time "I'm sorry" happened. I would go back to the first time where you did something and you felt like it was an imposition on somebody else, or somebody else made you feel bad for just being you. Because as little children, we shit our diapers every day, and we didn't apologize for that. Our mothers loved us enough, or our fathers or caregivers loved us enough to change our diaper or feed us, and we don't have to apologize for that part of us, and we were loved for that. So I would be curious as to when that was your first response, and why, and was it modeled by somebody that you should apologize for something that really wasn't your fault, or where that first came from. So I always look at the first imprint.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
Let's
sit
go
with
back
it some
to that time of when you were 4 or 6 and that started. I would look at and go to that little girl and, hey, it's okay that you fell down, or it's okay that you did that. Like to give some validation and love for her, so that she doesn't feel that she's not worthy, or that she has to apologize for things that are just natural human experiences.
Yeah. I'm going to sit with that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So my question, I don't know if it's even a question really, but I'm hoping that you can help me to identify where I might be holding rage, because in a recent therapy, I know it's a big one, therapy session, my therapist asked me to sit with or get clear on defining rage. And it's between anger and rage. And then of course, see if that's, where that's in me, because I know it is in me. I know there's places that it comes up. So I want to be able to better manage it. So,
yeah. So we get these. So rage, for me, I label it as Dragon Lady Biatch. And when I first started my shamanic healing journeys, the shamanic healer I went to created a safe space to allow my authentic emotions to be expressed. And as men are programmed, don't feel, don't cry, don't talk about it, women are programmed, don't get angry, don't yell, be nicey nice. And so a lot of our anger gets repressed. And when anger is repressed, that's when it goes to rage. When it's kind of like a volcano, it sits, it's dormant. I'm irritated. I'm angry. Anger is turning to resentment. But if I don't express it, if I don't remedy it, if I don't fix it, if I don't address why am I irritated, resentful, angry, then here comes Dragon Lady out of the blue, just rageful, incinerating with intense fire and out of control. And that's rage. And yes, absolutely, women can feel it, and men also can feel it. And so when I was doing my shamanic healing in that places, when it was finally safe for me to express authentically, the first emotion that came up was not sadness or grief. The first emotion that came up was rage, like just fierce dragon rage. I almost drew blood from my fists, my fingernails were cutting into my hands. My voice was so angry. I was yelling and screaming so much. I was hoarse for 3 days. It had been all of the anger, all of the resentment, all of the unresolved emotions that I had stuffed in the guise of be nice and don't upset everybody and don't get angry and don't piss anybody else off and keep the peace and be nice, that oppressed my authentic feelings. And it also didn't allow me to go get curious about that anger is a teacher, resentment is a teacher. It's trying to show something that needs attention, whether it needs healing or it needs to be expressed, it needs to be evolved, resolved in some way. And so ignoring those signals is a clear indication that rage is on its way. And we either externalize rage and it gets expressed out, let's say to our partners, or we blow up as a mom, or, we blow up with a friend, or we internalize it and it becomes a physical diagnosis later on, a cancer or liver disease or whatever. And a lot of times the liver is involved. It's around the third chakra, where how we're using our energy. And if we're not allowing a release valve for anger and resentment, then it becomes an explosion. And alcohol tends to be one of those ways in which we try to dampen the fire with alcohol. So we tend to see that alcohol, drinking, and anger tend to go hand in hand with trying to oppress that.
So interesting, since they both are so hard on the liver.
Yep. Absolutely.
Also interesting is that when I started my journey in therapy years ago, I had other medicinal people who were more in the holistic range, specifically too, in the same week, actually point to my liver and say, this is what you need to be focusing on, is the health of the liver.
Because the liver is like a sponge. It needs to be a clear filter, and it is the filter for our body and for our blood. And so when we're holding and holding and holding, then it can no longer digest, and all of the functions that it has, more functions than any other organ in the body. It will affect our immune system. It will affect digestion. It will affect toxicity and cellular regeneration and adrenal support, all of this. And so with that, what I invite you to explore is, what is that? What am I really angry about, and why? If we can soften back into the feminine and to give it a space and to get curious. Why are you upset? And let me hold a space for you to get angry. I give myself permission to do that, to be angry, to be rageful. And if I need to punch a pillow, if I need to yell and scream, I give myself permission to do that in safe environments. And so I would, in your case, get curious about, what am I really upset about, and why? And does this remind me, this thing that I'm having with my boyfriend or husband or person, this situation, like, does it remind me of any other situation? So this conflict that I might be having with my partner might also be similar to this other boyfriend, and also have its roots way back with my father. And so then we look at, there has been unresolved anger that I didn't move toward and figure out, so that I could make a different choice, so that I could be more discerning, so that I could value myself, so that I could advocate for my self-care or have clearer boundaries, or whatever the lesson is. Anger is a divine communication to get us to move into inquiry about, what is this bringing up for me? What is it trying to get my attention to fix, address, heal, or acknowledge?
Do we get better at not having to use anger and pain as our big motivate? Like, maybe not having to feel so much anger and pain in order, hit these rock bottoms in order to have to move through something, motivate.
Yeah, for sure. And this is when we have those periodic check-ins, and we're not waiting for 10 years or 20 years to do our healing work, when we're actually checking in daily. And like if we take nature as an example, we have the sunset. Every day, the sun lets go of the day. And so at night, when you're like, is there anything from today that I need to let go of, that I don't want to bring into the next day? Do I need to apologize? Do I need to clear something with somebody? Do I need to change something with somebody, so that I'm not taking that anger and resentment into the next day? And I remember getting really irritated with an employee that I had, and it was just not working. And I was getting irritated, and I was getting frustrated. And if I had sat with that, I really would have gotten to the truth that this is not the right employee, that she doesn't have the skill set to do this particular thing that I'm asking of her, and that it's beyond her capacity and beyond her ability. And yet it's required for this job. And so the conflict that was arising between us isn't about, well, she just needs to be different, or I just need to be more patient. The truth was, she's not the right fit for this position. She's not qualified for this. And that truth I was ignoring, and it was creating conflict and resentment between us. And had I sat with, after the first time that I got irritated with her, I would have really deeply, it's not that anytime you get irritated, you just fire somebody. It's more about what, you're irritating me, boyfriend, husband, goodbye. It's not about that. It's more about, why is this irritation? What is it really about? And it's like, I had tried to fit a square peg in a round hole. That's the problem. And in identifying that, I was able to look at, well, what skills and qualities do I actually need that are not negotiable? Because I bartered those. I negotiated those because I was impatient and I put a body in a position.
Yeah.
So the lesson I learned by actually getting with my resentment and my anger is it's better to be more patient and discerning about hiring and to not compromise because it will cost me later on. The irritation was a direct correlation to my impatience and my avoiding not hiring the right person for the job and waiting for that person.
So getting better at slowing down and listening and sitting with yourself and feeling the feelings that come up.
Only always, whether that's grief or whether that's irritation or resentment, because that might have to do with a business change. It might have to do with, a parenting dynamic that worked when a child was 2, but it doesn't work when they're 4. It might have to do with, hey, we've moved into a different place with our relationship. We actually don't have the skills to navigate this next thing. We might need to get a new tool to help better communication in our relationship. So whatever is creating irritation, anxiety, and there's a lot of that rising right now, then let's move toward it, because it might be that the way I'm spending money isn't sustainable, or that this job really, I don't love it anymore. In fact, I haven't loved it for the last 2 years, and I'm not being honest about that. And it's causing me tremendous amount of anxiety and depression, and I'm drinking more heavily because I'm staying in a job that I loathe. So this is a great time for self-inquiry, for sure.
Yeah. Ooh, and I really felt it when you talked there about being able to decipher between what's real, what's reality, and what's a projection that you've been, like you used the instance where you're putting it onto an employee, for instance. But of course, we do that in all types of relationships. And I'm personally trying to navigate currently where the end of my fantasy is and the beginning of reality is, and how to better balance between the two, because I think they're both necessary. It is necessary for us to be a progressive, species, and for us to reach our goals and become the highest potential of ourselves. All those things, we have to project that is a possible potential, being better, having a relationship that thrives and survives the species, healing the planet. We have to have these projections. They may not be our current reality. They're very necessary. So do you have any advice on how to balance out reality versus projection?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
If we want a new reality, we have to dream it first. And if we don't dream a new reality, then we'll always be limited to the possibilities of our current reality. And so this is a part of projection into the future that says, okay, I want to be able to get with the vibrational feeling of having better health than I currently have right now, because I'm not satisfied with my health or my body in some way, not from a place of I'm unworthy or I'm a lazy sloth, but more just from a place of a neutral, honest, hey, I could improve my health. I have been neglecting it. So let me see in my mind's eye what I want to feel like in my physical body. So it can be a projection of health, and it can be a projection of relationship. It can be a projection of serving my soul's mission, or like having my family thriving, and I can feel and hear us laughing and playing together, and that the vibration, the prosperity in my family is around love and connection. And then it's not about whether we're in Hawaii or whether my kids have these shoes. It has nothing to do with that. And so part of that is knowing that since our thoughts create our reality, and that most of the structures in our brain are old structures that were put in there by somebody else that we have energized and repeated. They're outdated, they don't belong to us, and they don't fit necessarily who we are becoming. So it's actually our responsibility, and I do this daily in my morning meditations, is to feel into the vibration of what I'm saying yes to. I don't have to be attached to how it looks, and this is where I can co-create with the universe. This is where I can be in this deep collaborative effort with the universe to say, hey, you and I can co-create this together, manifest it in such a way that it's beyond my wildest dreams. And that doesn't mean that I just put the seed out there and I don't take any action, but dreaming into the possibilities. And it is our vibration, our emotion that really helps rewire the brain to know that it's possible. Because if we don't believe, if we don't have a thought that a new paradigm of living with humanity and with Mother Nature is more possible, then we cannot create it. So we have to see clean water. We have to see 7 generations from now walking on a beach that has no plastic on it.
Yeah,
We have to see that we are in communities together growing our food, and that we're in communities raising our children, and that we're not in our isolated pods doing it by ourselves. So that's going to help us move between the jeeps of where we are now and where we want to be. If we don't have a jeep, then we just keep going in circles, getting lost. And so the vision is the end point. How we get there is the journey which we get to be surrendered to. And if we listen along the way, then we'll receive the divine inspiration to turn left here, or plant this new seed, or open this foundation, or offer this new service into the community that helps us get there.
Yes. You brought up 7 generations back. I've heard that before. And can you tell me why 7?
This was, this is more of a Native tradition about not just being so self-centered, that we are thinking only about the now and not about the impact that it has, not only on our children, but 7 generations to come. Because if we are making our choices from that place, we've got to be thinking about sustainability, because then, and we're a lot more accountable for the messes that we're making. It says, oh, well, we're just, I don't care, because I'm not going to be here in 50, 60 years. I'm not going to be here. So I don't care. And this is a level of human accountability and respect for that our imprint has an effect all the way down many generations. And can I think that far ahead of what is my legacy? Yeah. Am I leaving a legacy, lifestyle choices, respect for nature, respect for humanity, and my own self-care and self-respect practices that I want to pass that on to the generations, so that that is a legacy of sustainability and harmony with humanity and with each other.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting stuff. I want to dive deeper into that on maybe another time with you as well. But it just sounds like, what you were talking about earlier with the perspective of the eagle, from that 10,000 foot view, and pulling all the way back so that we can look at the whole picture here. How are we affecting it? We might be just a drop in the ocean, but that ripple is extremely important, because we're collectively the ocean.
We are deciding for our children, our grandchildren, our great-great-great-grandchildren right now, the kind of environment they will be living in. We are deciding that right now.
Absolutely. And even those of us, I feel like it's important to mention, I don't have children myself, but it's important to mention, I think, because I think we're in this era where many people may not choose to have children. We're in a, definitely a different time. And I'm bringing that up because I think it's important to be clear that even if you don't have children, you are very much affecting everything around you in your existence. So yeah, it's all important.
And that is the part of your bloodline that, we are one, and humanity is a species, and collectively we are deciding about what kind of planet our future generations will have. We are deciding that today collectively. So yes, you might decide not to, that might be your social choice, is to say, I'm not going to add to the population, but that doesn't mean that I'm not affecting the population. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think even sometimes the choice to not add to the population is the effect you're having.
Exactly.
And speaking on the eagle, my mom is a eagle. That's her spirit animal. And I wanted to bring up, we're going to talk about how our listeners can get their own spirit animal reading and figure out how, what they are, because that's pretty cool stuff. It's really cool to be able to put that type of label on you, because when you know your spirit animal ally, it gives you so much clarity, I think, on like where you're at right now in your life and what you can do with the playfulness of it. So
yeah, this one is more of a journey. So an animal spirit guide will come in and give you advice or medicine for this particular moment. That might not be your animal totem for life. And different animals will most certainly weave in and out of your life at different phases or times of your life, whether it's dolphin to bring more joy, or whether it's bear to hibernate, or whether it's eagle to, have a bigger a bigger perspective, or a butterfly to be, going through a transformation. And so there may be different animal totems at different cycles of your life.
Mhm.
And this one will be an animal journey so that you can go and receive some medicine from an animal that can bring you some advice or guidance at this moment of time. So you can
Beautiful.
go back and do this journey over and over again and get different animals.
So fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get into, I just want to let the listeners know that we are going to have you walk us through an experience that is going to be very impactful, very beautiful. So I want everyone listening to stay tuned to the end, because I think we're going to save it till the end so we can finish on that note and allow the listeners to go away from this with that vibration. So what I want to do now is just ask you our staple questions. So there's a few short questions we like to ask everyone who comes on the show. The first one being, if you could hug your younger self right now, what would you say?
Thank you for inspiring me to remember to shine, and for reminding me of my soul song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And so I thank her for being a guide for me right now at different times when I've lost my light. And so I thank her for being a role model and a guide to remember to keep shining my light.
That's beautiful. If you could have the whole world read one book, which would it be?
Wow. The Giving Tree.
Oh, my kids love that story. What does that story mean to you?
A level of selflessness and a level of consideration for others, that we're here to serve, not just ourselves, but we're here to serve. I also like The Hungry Caterpillar also, about becoming the butterfly you came here to be.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Oh, The Hungry Caterpillar. I love that one.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Yeah. And I think we're all finding a new set of wings right now in this process and in this time of life. We all came back right now because we have medicine to bring. So absolutely, this is The Hungry Caterpillar. It's a time for us to find our butterfly wings.
I think so. We're in that cocoon, like we're talking about, that corona.
Yeah.
Cocoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you could whisper one phrase to everyone on the planet, what would it be?
Live, laugh, learn, let go, and love.
Before we go into that closing exercise with you, where can people find you online and contact you to get the free gift?
Oh, well, so we'll have the link, I think, in the show notes.
We will.
So we'll put the link for the free gift for that guided animal spirit journey. And also, since we're needing to balance the feminine and masculine so much right now, I'll also give a discount on that course, the balancing the feminine and masculine. Beautiful. I am to be found at shamangelichealing.com, and I'm based here in Sedona. And people come from all around the world to do, individual retreats and private sessions and group retreats with me here in Sedona. And of course, I'm certified high performance coach. I do coaching online, as well as the Shamangelic Healing podcast is a great place to hear inspiring conversations like this. And I'm on, Instagram and Facebook at Anahata Ananda. And I'm here to just inspire millions to shine. And if you have stayed to listening this long, then that's because this has landed as medicine for you. So that means, our souls are speaking to your souls, and that it has landed for you. And so I look forward. I know our paths will cross sometime, virtually or in the physical. And I look forward to meeting those people that are deeply resonating with today's messages.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. So you teach an incredible healing modality, as we mentioned, that is so elegant and impactful. And I've heard it's even quite like a psychedelic experience. It's called I'm going to do this wrong. Shamangelic breath work. I know it's great for inner calmness and for immunity as well. So what better time than now to practice this? Can you lead us and our listeners through this, please?
So a full shamangelic breathwork journey is done in person. I come to Austin every year. I've been doing shamangelic breathwork journeys, not unlike a plant medicine ceremony where you come in person to have an experience. And so that's really where the most powerful benefits come from, is when we're in person and I can weave emotionally and energetically in your field to help move out the density and bring in the light. It's using breath as a broom to clear things out, along with moving in your field to support that release and expansion through music and breath. And so that's really a shamanic breathwork journey. So we get to do that in person, whether that's here in Sedona or whether I come to Austin or whether that's a retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to clarify that that's what it really is about. But let's go ahead and have another little journey at this time where we can kind of just let go and surrender and come back to the truth of who we are. So close your eyes if that is safe for you at this time, and just take some deep inhales and exhales. And just let that inhale, just keep doing that. Deep inhales and a deep exhale, and keep that rhythm going. Deep inhale and a deep exhale. And with each exhale, just let go of the tension that's been building, any anxiety that's been building. Maybe it's feeling tight somewhere in your body. And so as you go to release that, allow any physicality of that tension where it's holding in your cells, in your shoulders, in your temples, in your hips, in your belly, in your neck, in your jaw. As you exhale, just begin to soften the parts of the body that have been holding tension and fear and stress and worry. Exhale, soften those parts. And within each inhale, breathe in peace, grace, patience, healing, and breathe out stress, anxiety, worry. And just keep cycling that as we melt away the layers of density so that we can peel back to the pearl of the essence of who you are. This part of your soul that is never in quarantine. This part of your essence that is always free to move about. This part of your truest divine expression that is limitless, that is not bound by material wealth or health or the roles that you play in the human journey. Let your breath access the part of you that is eternal, timeless, and powerful beyond measure, that is peaceful, that is centered, that is alive, that is powerful, that is potent, that is present, that is enough, that is whole, that has purpose and mission. Let's tap that part of us that was alive before we took our first breath in this body, and that part of us that will be alive after we take our last breath in this body. That part of your soul essence that came here now, knowing that you had magic to offer humanity at a time when it would be struggling, and that you too would be in that struggle with humanity, that you too would understand the attachments to the illusion and the matrix of limitations of material things, of external identity, physical attachments. And remember that part of you that knew that that would be an illusion that you were entranced by, and that there would come a time where humanity would wake up to the illusion that we've been living in. You came here now for a reason, to rise above the illusion, to bring and share your light, your authentic gifts that your training ground, your classroom has prepared you for now, that your soul has been deeply hungering for this, to be on purpose, to be in service, to be in harmony. Your soul has been hungry for this time, and you have been training for this. So receive a message in this moment from your soul, a message from that timeless, wise, eternal part of you, and let it land deep in your being. Let it come home to that part of you that has been waiting for this inspiration. And receive some advice right in this moment from your soul. What advice does your soul have for you at this time, this critical time in humanity and this critical time of your personal development? What advice does your soul have for you? And bring that advice in, let it land as medicine, and begin to see you weaving your magic, your light, your love, your truth, shining it into humanity at this time, giving it back to Mother Nature, paying it forward to our children, our nieces, our nephews, sending it out to humanity that is so hungry to remember this truth that you have just connected to. And begin to feel where you can shine your light, who you are here to touch with, what medicine do you have that will help to heal those people that are waiting for your medicine, your truth, your gift, your product, your service, your love, your patience, your light. And feel this ripple effect happening in humanity, where as each of us wakes up, detaches from the things that have been disempowering us, holding our light back, and as we wake into the remembering that our light becomes this ripple effect, that the virus that is becoming contagious is love now, that where we can let love and light and truth go viral, and that we have the ability not only to let that happen in the generations that are breathing right now on the planet, but as we make this pivot within us, as we make this pivot within humanity, we pass it on to 7 generations plus. So we are now leaving a legacy of love, light, harmony, grace, and truth behind us. And you are an important part of this. And give yourself permission in some way to bring your light out and touch somebody, in some way help somebody that is struggling and that has forgotten this. If you are on the other side and you are awake and you are aware, then it is your human responsibility, your ethical responsibility to turn back and shine a light for others that are lost, and feel that today, in some way, you will do this for a friend, a colleague, a family member, a complete stranger, that you are the medicine we've been waiting for. You are the inoculation to this virus. You are holding the keys. So let's unlock the door to unlimited potential, to living in a harmonious, sustainable, thriving relationship with each other and with Mother Nature. And just take this time every morning, every night to reconnect to this truth, to receive divine guidance as to how you can serve that day, to receive inspiration to a new product or a new service or a new message that you might birth out into humanity. And breathe it in, breathe it home, say yes, say yes. I just want to acknowledge each of you for the powerful medicine that you bring. It has been my honor to serve each of you today, to weave this magical journey with you. It has been my honor, Jade and Mercedes, to weave this message with you, sisters. I acknowledge your light, your truth, your radiance, your voice, and your love and your magic. Thank you for weaving it. It is my divine honor and pleasure. Shanti, shalom, namaste, and amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
The energy does feel a lot lighter.
So that's just a little guided journey with breath. And when we get together in person, we will share a shamangelic breathwork journey
Yes.
to really have that in the physical experience. That's a 2-hour experience.
Yeah.
That is a ceremony for the soul, healing and awakening. And so for those that are drawn to that kind of work, I actually teach healing tools and modalities and breathwork facilitator training. If you are called to the healing arts, that might be medicine for some to learn and to bring those tools into their medicine bag. So that information's on my website as well.